There was more NFL signing news this week by way of Cam Newton, who re-signed with the Carolina Panthers on a one-year contract. We all know Cam, former MVP, returns to Carolina, got drafted first overall by them in 2011. He's at the helm for 9 seasons. They had that Super Bowl appearance in 2015. Cam just got released by the Patriots at the beginning of the year, and now he finds himself back in Carolina. Guys, with the Panthers sitting at 4-5 at the bottom of the NFC South, what kind of impact can we expect Cam to have at this point in his career in Carolina?
The question is are the Panthers legitimate? I think, which will bring us to Cam Newton. But they started off very hot, and I think everyone was like, okay, maybe this team, Sam Darnold got a new place to start over seemingly, and he took full advantage of that, and then he gets injured, and you reintroduce Cam Newton back as your quarterback, and he was very outspoken in terms of the politics he thought were behind his release in New England, saying that you don't want a guy like him to be behind Mac Jones because it creates too much pressure, because Cam thinks he was the better quarterbacking option there. Obviously, New England disagreed, went with the rookie, and Cam has been waiting for a chance, and the Panthers bring him back. And I think what's the idea here? Well, why bring back Cam Newton? I think it's because you lost your quarterback and he's the best quarterback on the market. I don't think they're expecting him to, turn the season completely around. If you're Cam Newton, certainly what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a starting job in the NFL for next year, because, though he wasn't present for the first half of the season, that he's a guy that still has it. His legs are still there. He can run. He can also pass, which I think, he didn't exactly fit New England's scheme last year. That's why we saw it. I didn't think that signing made sense when it happened.
Right.
And so I think his release was kind of understood in a way that he was never our guy. We were just trying to find a gap between we could draft a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, Nick, an interesting point is why him? Why bring him back home? And I don't know the answer to that, because I want to say it's purely just logistical and like, hey, he's the best guy we can go get. Let's go get him. But, bringing him back, the girl is at home. So I'm just saying that he's not taking away anything from Cam Newton, but some of the outfits, the long hair, you could make that stretch. But he's back at home.
Yeah.
And I think that this season's more important to him than it is to the Panthers. I think if he can...
It's a prove-it season.
If he can... And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch the Bucks, and maybe they can get a wild card, but one of the wild card is going to be out west. So you hope that any other, probably nobody in the NFC. I will say the second wild card's pretty much open. So
yeah,
not to rule the Panthers out of getting it, especially with all these injuries. Jameis out in a Saints team that's pretty talented,
yeah.
But without a quarterback, you think if you're Cam Newton, you say I can take this roster to a wild card berth and seemingly revamp the second half of my season and my career, for that matter. But I just think for him, there's so much. There's going to be growing pains coming back from being out of football.
Yeah, I mean, listen, after 2018, after Cam Newton got cut unceremoniously from the Carolina Panthers, I thought to myself, it's like the marriage is over. It's like we are never, ever getting back together. I thought it was done, gone. Cam's never coming back to Carolina. It was an ugly, ugly divorce. And, everything has changed in Carolina. You got a new head coach in Matt Rule. You got new owner in David Tepper. And a new supporting cast with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson coming in from New York with the Jets. Christian McCaffrey's still there, but, it's been a lot of turnover. That defense looks completely different. But I think Cam's come back as a better man, as a more mature guy. He knows. He's more humble.
Is
now.
he, though?
I think he is. I think he's
After what he said at the start of the season, that I'm pretty much a showstopper and I can't be on the bench because...
Did he say that?
He said that. Yeah. He said that's why Mac Jones... That's why he's getting canned from New England.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that I believe that Cam is more mature, more humbled now that he's been sitting on the sidelines, not even on the sidelines, just at home for a couple of months. I mean, we said it. This Panthers team started out 3-0, hot. We thought slinging Sammy Darnold was the answer, but he started seeing ghosts and got hurt. So it feels like the season was almost lost in a sense for the Panthers. But David Tepper, Matt Rule out here sending a message in the bottle to Cam Newton, being like, "Hey, come home. one more time. We need you. It's just bring us back to the playoffs. And this is a tough season for the Panthers. It's kind of a transition season. We weren't sure if Sam Darnold's the answer for the Panthers. P.J. Walker will be starting this week for Carolina, former XFL legend. But this is Cam's team from now on, and we don't know when Darnold comes back. But Cam is going to be that holdover guy, and it was like, yeah, it's I hope that Cam has a good rest of the season because I really love Cam Newton. I really want to see what he can do. And I think he could, I'm not sure if they can lead him to the second or third wild card spot, but Cam could, have this year be a prove-it year for I still belong in the NFL, pretty much.
Cam's always talked a lot, but I think it's just more noticeable now, like when he talked about Mac Jones at the beginning of the year when he got cut, because his play now doesn't really back up the talk.
Right.
So it's a little bit different. But in the NFC, I mean, that playoff picture is wide open. Now you got the 7 seed for this year. I mean, Carolina's right there. I mentioned before the NFC is so top-heavy. I just don't know if Cam at this point in his career is the guy to take him there. But it's just crazy how in just a span of weeks your season can change so much. You make the Sam Darnold trade, and that's your guy. And 3 weeks go by, and that's still your guy, and you're elated with how it's going, and now all of a sudden you're on the market for a new quarterback. And you're back with Cam Newton, who led you for a decade. It's just crazy how in the NFL things change so quickly. But I think just based on the nature of the NFC this year, Carolina's in it.
Yeah.
And if Cam can get settled in Carolina, there's no reason why they can't be that 7 seed.
Yeah, and I think, with Carolina re-enlisting Cam, I think part of the reason why we saw him struggle up in New England was because the scheme in Carolina was always built around him in the sense that he was their superstar quarterback. And last year for New England was kind of a rebuilding year in the sense, obviously, you lose Tom Brady.
Yep.
And so everything around that has to be completely revamped. And a guy like Cam Newton, as good as a passer as he is, you relied so heavy on the pocket presence of Brady. And, Cam Newton can do it with his legs. And you go back to Carolina, and, Sam Darnold is not as I don't think any of us would say that he's a big.
He led the league in rushing touchdowns through 3 weeks. I'm just saying. Sam Darnold's got the legs.
So
Vanilla Vic in a sense.
I think he's. But yeah, I think Sam Darnold was they utilized his legs, but I think you can utilize them a little bit more with Cam, and I think he outside the pocket his mobility is a lot better than Sam Darnold. So I think that if you're the Panthers, bringing back Cam Newton not only makes sense in this, because you need a quarterback, but I think it makes sense in the way in which you saw your offensive scheme with Sam Darnold relying on a little bit of the run for the quarterback, and now that you have Cam, who we know is a prolific runner, I mean, obviously outdone by Lamar and all the stuff he's been able to do on the move. But
Cam's one of the best scrambling quarterbacks of all time.
Okay, that's made up.
You sure?
I'm saying that it's a fabrication of a stat. That's something you're going to see at the bottom of an ESPN ticker to say how good this signing is for Cam Newton. But he is good. He is good outside.
He's phenomenal.
He's good outside the pocket, and I think he adds a layer of depth to this offense that perhaps was lacking. But as Nick, you pointed out, there's no reason why you don't look at Carolina and say, why can't they get a wild card spot? They need to play good football, but the NFC being so top heavy with division leaders, with the exception of with the West, I don't see NFC North outside of Green Bay. You really got nobody there that you think can get a wild card spot. In the East, outside the
outside the Cowboys, there's nobody in that.
Yeah, right.
As a Giants fan,
it's just,
they're not making the playoffs.
The Saints and the Falcons and the Panthers.
Yeah, the Falcons surprisingly have that third wild card spot locked up, but they're only a half game ahead of the Panthers. The Panthers are in the thick of the race. I mean, there's a reason they wanted their quarterback back. Come back, be here, back home. Come on, give Cam that one last shot to lead them to the playoffs. They're in the thick of the race. I don't think Atlanta maintains their pace. I think this is a year where I thought the Panthers were a wild card team before the year. I don't know why I believed in Sam Darnold, but it's a perfect storm. Cam coming back home.
I don't see right now whoever gets that 7th seed is going to have any chance to hang with the big boys in the NFC.
Oh no,
there's no shot. There's no shot.
The gap is so big this year. It's unbelievable.
It's a 5-team race.
But if you're Cam, right, you're just trying to get to that spot.
Right.
You just want if you can get come in from being out of a job and take a team to a wild card and playoff appearance, that's a win for him. And I think as much as Carolina's looking at Cam to run this offense, I think part of that signing too is like he's got a lot to prove, and he's a guy that we want around the ball and around the team because he's hungry to show that I was out of football for 9 weeks, but I still believe that I'm a top quarterback in this league, and I need to get paid by somebody to do my job, and I should be getting paid, but I'm not getting that respect right now. And I think if you're Carolina, you love everything about that because you're hoping that Cam brings that same fire that he had when he was on his couch watching Sundays.